Hello everyone, myself Vaibhav. In today's session, we are seeing the Euro USD consolidating closer to 1.185. So far in the session, it has traded with a bearish bias, but looking at the technicals from the short term as well as medium term perspective, I think this is likely to be a transitory, and in next couple of days, we are expecting it to start rising after holding closer to these levels. And on the lower side, 1.18 is going to be a crucial support. So we will be looking at the trading opportunities in today's session in light of these circumstances. If you consider the data docket for the day, there are not many major releases which can move the financial instrument. And if you consider the market mood so far, we have the US equity indices future trading lower with losses of around half a percentage point. And on the commodity side, if you consider the light crude oil, it is also trading lower with more than 1 percentage point losses. Gold is also trading lower. So you can say that the equities and commodities are starting the week with a bearish bias. But if we consider the crucial levels, I think these sentiments are likely to be short-lived, and we will see the resumption of the move higher for the equities. In the commodity, we are not really going into the details, and we will leave it for another session. And on the space front, we have this new development which has taken place over the weekend. Mr. Richard Branson took the flight on board VSS Unity, and he has experienced the weightlessness. And this company is going to bring this experience closer to reality for many people. Of course, you need to be a high net worth individual to pay the price, but if you can afford it, you can have it. So that's the good news for all of those who can afford at the very least. Now let's get back to the trading side, and here we will first consider the outlook for the Euro USD, and after that we will also see the Dow Jones Industrial Average. As I remember, just 2 days back I was talking about the bearishness taking hold in the Dow Jones Industrial Average and eventually pushing it on the lower side, maybe even around 33,000, but that didn't really materialize. And in Friday's session, we saw the sharp reversal. In the today's session so far, we haven't really seen any upward momentum, but on the lower side, we have this base formation in place from the near term perspective. So I think the technicals are pointing to the changing scenario, and we will consider what's happening on the technical side and the trading opportunities thereon. Let's start with the Euro USD's technical outlook first. This is the daily time frame chart, and here the Euro USD has been consolidating after getting closer to the prior swing low. This time around, it did dip below the 1.18, but that was fairly short-lived, and we saw the reversal the very next day. And after that, it has been spending the time consolidating closer to 1.185, and I think in near term the base formation has happened, and we can look forward to trading buy on dip strategy where we can continue to target some lower side support whenever we see that the Euro USD has consolidated well and we have a safer side to trade on the lower side. If we see the base with strong support, we can of course take our chances. So I think we can expect the Euro USD to move towards 1.19 in coming days. So we will be looking for the trading opportunities here. If you consider the lower time frame chart, the 4 hourly, we have this regression curve which has flattened, and to some extent it has even started to point towards higher side. If you see it, it's happening after many weeks, and because of this long consolidation, I think we had this Euro USD trading for the first time closer to these levels in mid June, and for last 4 weeks the momentum has been sideways, and this time around also we saw it reversing after getting closer to 1.185. So here we can count on the possibility of a near-term bounce here. You can even call it a dead cat bounce, but whatever it is, we can indeed take the advantage of it if it does materialize, and that's what we are placing ourselves for. If you consider the pivot point series, the price action is happening in the bearish band of this series. It is below the critical marker, the central pivot point, which is there close to 1.20, and on the lower side the support is not really close, it's far away around 1.17, and that's where the prior swing low on the daily time frame chart has also been formed. And on the lower side we do have the support, but we can't really use it. This is the first support level. Rather than that, we will mostly have to rely on the price action here, and the immediate price action formation looks like of a higher high and higher low, unless we have any fresh breakout below this crucial level, just little above 1.18. And to better explain to you, I will have to move on to the lower time frame charting. If we consider this chart now, the picture looks a lot clearer. Here you can observe that the Euro USD uh, did climb above this immediate hurdle of 200 SMA and spent some time closer to this 1.19 level. But in today's session, after the start of European trading hours, we saw this steep decline of around 40 pips, and now it is finding some support on the lower side closer to this prior consolidation low. And also, if we consider this SMA formation, the 100 SMA is there, and we have the 50 SMA crossing above the 200 SMA. This SMA crossover is also considered as the golden crossover, and on the lower time frame chart we do have in place. So taken together, all these factors point to the possibility that the near term support is in place, and if you consider these prior swing low, it can be considered as a critical marker, and we can trade using it. We can go for the buy trade if we see, at least for next couple of hours, the euro usd consolidating and not really breaking below this immediate low, and in that case 1.183 to 1.184 is going to be a good price band to exploit the changing circumstances, and the stop loss level can be kept closer to, I think, even the 1.180 or 1.181 should be a good stop loss level. A buffer of 20-25 pips from the entry point is going to be sufficient when we are trading from the intraday perspective. And on the higher side, we can expect the Euro USD to try to get back to the immediate swing high, and a move beyond that can also be visualized. The immediate target can be kept closer to 1.19, if not very far. Now let's see what's happening in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So this is the daily time frame chart, and this reversal I was talking about in my opening remarks. In Friday's session, we had this Dow Jones Industrial Average climbing from the levels close to 34,200 to all the way close to 35,000. Not exactly 35,000, but very close to that. And now in today's session, we have this consolidation taking shape, and I think looking at this price volatility and these sharp moves on both sides, the near-term bottom has been formed. From intraday perspective, it will be more appropriate to keep looking for the buying opportunities rather than trying to short it. In Thursday's session, I had said that the head and shoulder formation has taken shape, and we can expect the near term outlook to turn bearish. But then this is a sharp move, sharp reversal happened, and of course, we have to respect the price action, and looking at the pace as well as this magnitude of the rise, I have to change my thoughts. And here I feel if you are not really willing to buy it, then rather than going to short on the current level, it will be prudent to sit on the sidelines. And for today's session, the outlook is not that great. I'm not really expecting any big move on the higher side. But more than that, we can expect the Dow to hold on to some of the gains it has made in Friday's session, and in today's session, it is likely to spend the time consolidating closer to these 34,700 to 34,800 price band. So if we consider the lower time frame charting, we have this regression curve which is now clearly pointing northward, and if we consider the price action in respect of these pivot point formation, it is taking place in this bullish bracket. It is well above this central pivot point, which also acted as a crucial support in these volatile times, and this is where the reversal happened after this steep decline. And now I think the things looking like are more favorable for the buy trade, and we can expect the Dow to go on to form a new all-time high. And of course, if we have to trade, the target can be kept closer to the first resistance of this one's pivot point series. But of course, we do have to optimize the trade and look for the entry point where the risk is going to be minimum compared to the reward we are seeking. So this convergence of three key SMAs, 50, 100, and 200 SMA, is going to be our near-term entry point. And I think as long as the Dow is trading well above this convergence area, confluence area, we can be fairly confident of the buy trade. And the stop loss can be kept just close to this immediate swing low. The 34,300 should be good enough, but the stop loss, if we keep it closer to the 34,300, is going to be almost 1 percentage point wide, and we do have to pay attention to that, because as I said, we are expecting the Dow to spend the time consolidating in today's session. So my personal preference would be to allow the Dow to consolidate more and let the clarity emerge. And if it spends the day consolidating above this convergence zone of these three SMAs, then I think we will be in better position for the trade in next session, in tomorrow's session, and afterwards, I think the stop loss can also be kept at a much sharper level, and that will reduce the risk which we have to take. And on the higher side, we can expect the break above 35,000 at the very least, and so we will have to trade accordingly to make sure that the risk reward ratio is in our favor. And that's my outlook looking at the current price formation of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Do check out the Tecoscopy Analytics page, for which the links have been provided. And if you want to start trading using the JForex platform, do check it out. And if any queries there regarding how to use it, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to assist you in that. You can also follow us on the Facebook. Thank you all for joining in. Do subscribe to the Ricoscope webinar channel. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.